right, you're all set.
Okay, thanks, Katie. All right, I'm calling to order the August 17th, 2022 meeting of the Southborough Zoning Board of Appeals.
All right, you're all set. Sorry.
Okay, thanks, Katie. All right. Before we get started, I'll just read the statement. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law on June 16th, 2021. This meeting will be conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted. Right. So the first hearing we've got, we're waiting on Mr. Mike Robbins to overcome his technical difficulties.
Yep, he is here. Okay,
Just
looks
waiting
like
for you to
Craig.
show up in person, Mike.
Craig's stuck in traffic, so he will hop on when he can.
Okay.
If you want, I can read the public hearing notice if you're ready.
That is Mike. Yep.
Yep, sorry, gang. I just pulled in too.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
Welcome.
Yeah, go right ahead, Katie.
Okay. The Board of Appeals of the Town of Southborough will hold a public hearing via a virtual Zoom meeting Wednesday, August 7th, 2022 at 7 p.m. with regard to the petitions of John Bartolini Jr. affecting property at 68 Flag Road and 359 Turnpike Road, Southborough, Mass. The petitioner is seeking to amend a special permit and variance to modify an existing off-premises sign facing Route 9, providing direction to the business located at 359 Turnpike Road, and to modify and rectify the language regarding the original approval. Properties are located in the industrial district. Relief is requested under section 174-411-15E.
Thanks, Katie. And does the applicant have any presentation to make, or?
I'm going to pull him over. And we have a few people in the audience. I'm not sure, Jack, if there's anybody else you want me to pull over, but I can.
All right, am I unmuted now?
We can hear you, Mr. Bartolini.
Okay. I'll give a small presentation on this, but essentially, back in 1999, I think you all got in your packet the original approvals by the ZBA back then for a special permit and a variance. So this sign, and that was all granted back in 1999. What we're asking is simply as possible is that all we want to do is put Nan's image, their verbiage on the existing sign that Wendy's has used for the last 23 years. And then we want to correct a Scrivener's error on the address and parcel number and owner that went unbeknown to anybody for a long, long time. So what I'm really, and that's all I'm asking for. Essentially, if you, in the packet, you notice that 4 and 5 related to once Wendy's left, that the sign had to go with them, which is kind of unusual. It should have been granted to the landowner and the not the tenant. But we find ourselves in this predicament now. So that's the simple version of it. I don't know how involved you want to get. I mean, the sign has been there for 23 years. The planning board has approved it and okayed it now for the second time. And now we're just asking you to give these amendments so that we can continue using it with a new tenant the way we have been for years and years.
All right, so if I could just add a little bit, Mr. Bartolini, the planning board, as you said, they voted for, actually, it was, they voted for all of them. I think there was one where they said NA, and I understand it. They had one comment, that is, the planning board was concerned that the smaller logo wording would be distracting to read. The planning board suggested that there be less writing and what is written be bigger so that it is easier to read. So that's all we've got from the planning board. It should be noted that the abstentions for the most part on the planning board are from Debbie DeMuria, who is in a butter, so she had to recuse herself. But the particulars, as Mr. Bartolini has already listed, is that was approved. It is a sign on Route 9, but really all he's asking, I shouldn't say we, all he's asking is that the conditions be removed that said, hey, that it has to go when Wendy's has to go. So, but why don't we, if I don't know if people from the board would have actually, I'm doing this out of order, but Jamie, I will ask you as an alternate to be sit on this hearing
Yes.
as an alternate. Thank you. Okay, so having gotten that out of the way, I don't know if anybody has something, any questions about the application or from Mr. Barnley. Doris, would you like to go first?
Jack, you may know the history, likely know the history. What was the reasoning, does anyone know what was the reasoning behind putting a Wendy condition on that? I remember the Wendy sign was, this is the smaller of the two signs, correct, Jack?
This is
go ahead.
I'm sorry, it's smaller and it's literally 800 feet up the road on Route 9. So it's technically on 68 Flag Road, but it actually fronts onto Route 9. So if, I don't know if you will, Jack, it's kind of like a warning, like coming ahead is the Wendy's or the Nance.
That's exactly what it is. It was to let people know that Wendy's was ahead. Back then, they felt that if the bylaws, there were two reasons. There's two conditions here. One is if I think it's number 4, that if the and I believe this related more to Southborough's bylaws, but if Wendy's could get bigger or more signs on their site, and they didn't need this sign for safety and to slow traffic down and all and to let them people know they're ahead, then the sign would come down. That didn't happen in the 25 years that they were there. So Southborough didn't change their bylaws to make it any easier or visible for the tenant to have a on-site sign. And then the other reason was they felt that if Wendy's left immediately, that they would want the sign to come down. But none of that happened. The sign has been up there. It's been working for 23 years. It's been a good, somebody said a warning sign, but it just allows people to come off that light, come down off of Route 9, slow down and know that Wendy's was there. Now it's going to be Nan's, and Nan's would like the same thing. I mean, I would like this to go with the building so that any tenant that's there would have the ability to do that. It is a little hard to see the building, and it would be good for them to get ahead. I mean, we did have a hardship and everything, and that was all presented at the time too. The visibility and the speed of the traffic warranted another sign, and this worked out that I own this property.
Okay, that helps me a lot, Jack. That's really all I had for a question on the application. If someone else has other questions.
Mike, do you have any questions?
Am I on?
You are.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. No, I don't have any questions on this at all. No.
Okay. Paul, how about you?
Not really, other than, I mean, there's been no comments from public safety against it or concerned about it. So that would be my only question. I mean, I guess if, what's going to be done or proposed to be done could be incorporated with what the planning board said, that I guess that might make some sense, but I don't have any, other hard questions or concerns here.
Jamie, what about yourself?
No, I really don't have any questions. I'm very familiar with that Wendy's sign.
Okay.
And I don't see a problem with it.
Okay. So my only question, Jack, is just to raise what the planning board did. Do you see any hardship in making sure it's a big enough font and maybe a little bit less verbiage? Just because it is supposed to be just sort of like a warning. And, my understanding, some of the conversation with the planning board was all you had to put was Wendy's. It's a national brand. Everybody knows what it is. So the 72 square feet would suffice. So I think the concern is that it's too small and people kind of get distracted trying to read it. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I don't know. I don't know if Nan's is here. Jordan Mackey, I don't know if he's in the audience or online, but he could maybe speak to that. But basically, it comes down to a branding. Wendy's, you just write it on the wall. Everybody knows what Wendy's is. Nan's, right. They don't. So it's more of a marketing thing. It's not really an advertisement. It's like, well, Nan's 850 feet up, but nobody knows what Nan's is. When you say Wendy's is 850 feet up, people know what Wendy's is. They know okay. that, if it was Burger King or McDonald's, but Nan's is a more of an upscale chicken and vegetable and a little bit more. So he felt that it should at least say Nan's, we've got some vegetables and chickens, and 850 is pretty big, and the logo ties in with the logo that's on the sign that they've got in front of their building. That was the only concern, only thing that they had about it.
Okay, yeah. And just, to be clear, I don't know that I necessarily share that as that's a major concern. I'm bringing it up simply because the planning board brought it up, and I didn't know if there was a way for it. I agree with you. The 850 feet is pretty large, and I understand how Nan's doesn't translate as Wendy's does. But
I hope it will sometime. But right now, it's
okay.
They've got 2 locations, and they're
right.
David, Jordan Mackey does have his hand raised. He's in the audience. If you want me to pull him over.
Yeah. Yep. Go ahead.
Just wanted to add some color to that. The reason being our main sign has a lot of detail on it. And we felt as they're going to be using the entrance lane onto 495 runs right in front of the restaurant. We really felt that if we could give a little bit of detail on the sign ahead at 850 feet, it might prevent people from slowing down to spend more time reading the sign in front of the restaurant. Either way, what everyone prefers, but that was kind of our thinking, because we don't have the brand recognition of Wendy's, that it might be helpful to give them a little bit of a sneak peek of what is happening in 850 feet to avoid a slowdown closer to 495.
Okay. That sounds perfectly logical to me. I don't know, Katie, I'm unaware of any commentary from public safety on the sign. Not that it was reviewed, but so I don't have like a hard stand saying, you got to make chicken and vegetables bigger or anything. It's just kind of a discussion point. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mackey. Katie, is there anybody else in the audience who wants to raise a question or did they raise their hand?
Nope, there's no other hands raised.
Okay.
Katie, is it possible for you to share that email I received today to actually show that sign?
Yes.
That went out very late today.
That's it there.
Oh, I see. Hmm.
Any thoughts on that, Doris?
So maybe a compromise. My thought on is I see what the planning board's discussing. I'm a type of person that likes less words. It may be better for the sign. I'm not opposed to putting the I see the business need fully. Where it says maybe remove if it's not a large change and the sign has not been produced already, possibly remove the word mostly.
Just so there's fewer words?
Just to make fewer.
Some chicken?
I'd actually even remove the word some. I'd remove both words, but
Sorry, I have a comment. I think those bigger words, mostly vegetables and some chicken 850 feet. I mean, you can get that quickly. I think if anything is gonna catch people's eye and they might have to squint or take a second is where it says rustic kitchen and market. That's in small font or lettering. And to me, that's the only piece that I have slight hesitation about that could kind of stop people as they're going by. But I think everything else is pretty decent sized and simple enough that wouldn't be distracting.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's 4 words, so it's hard to see people really get. I hear what you're saying, Jamie. I don't know if there's room to make the logo a little bit larger and keep the font the same on the words.
We'd be happy to make it the rectangle version that you currently see at the street. That actually just says kitchen and market much bigger, and we could reorient it so that the logo is the rectangle version that matches what is on Route 9 and on the building.
Okay. Jamie, how does that sound?
I mean, I was just pointing out, I'm curious what other people think. If no one else thinks it's an issue, I'm fine leaving it as is. I think you could also potentially just take out the rustic kitchen and market and keep NANs, mostly vegetables and some chicken 850 feet. But it's not, a hill I would die on.
Yeah.
It's just something that my eyes went to.
Understood. Doris, that was your question.
I think it would benefit maybe to bring it to a square shape.
Yeah, I think I like that suggestion too.
I like that suggestion.
I got
always
adding
less
here.
words. Pardon?
Hello,
I'm here.
I can hear you,
Yeah.
Jack.
you can hear me?
Yep.
The sign is 6 foot by 12 foot. That's not going to change in size. It's already there.
Yeah.
So you can't make it square. If you make it square, you're making the sign smaller.
Well,
If
I
anything,
think
you might want to increase the size of NAN's, the logo, and make that fill up the end of the sign a little better.
Yeah, I thought that's what I was understanding. What Jordan was saying is that you could go with a larger square logo for NAN's, and
Oh, all
then, So I don't think anybody's proposing you change the shape of the sign itself. It's
Okay.
just the logo was a suggestion.
And I like larger. I like larger font if it was possible. Less words might get you a larger font, like veggies and chicken. Every time I discuss words, I get less. But that just may not be something and removed, so it's clear that they have veggies and chicken. And I like the idea of the square logo. I like it. So,
Okay.
but they may no one may like the idea of shortening the words, but the words could be larger because it's about food.
Guys, I think it's fine as it is, and the mostly veggies, some chicken is kind of catchy sounding. So if that's their, if that's their marketing plan, I think it's kind of nice, and I think it's just fine as it is.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. I like that verbiage too. It's like you said, it's a little more catchy and lets you know a little more what the market is going to be about.
Yeah, a little bit more unique is how I feel. And I don't know, I'd go to the sign people and say, hey, what's the best way to get visibility on this? And with these parameters.
I also think we're here to grant a variance, not work on someone's marketing plan.
Yep.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, right. I agree. I don't like, I'm just going to say it again. I see 4 words plus 850 feet. So I think going to the larger square logo to me is enough. I'd be happy with that.
Easy, done and done.
It's not a deal breaker for me.
Okay.
The comment regarding, we're getting a little too deep in this fair.
Yeah, I would agree. We might be killing this one a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And I don't know. Does anybody else feel strongly about the larger logo? Yeah, I mean, at least
That's my only 2 cents. The nans with the circle seems like there could be some space to make that a little bit. I think it'd be hard to see the vegetables at a distance, but again.
Yeah, if the suggestion to have the square one that matches what they have at the restaurant means, I mean, they're not going away from their marketing, right? So that seems like it would be consistent. Okay. All right. Is there any other discussion, or are we ready to close the public part of the meeting?
I'll make a motion to close the public part of the hearing.
I'll second that.
All right. We have a motion to close the public part of the hearing. The second, all in favor, respond with aye. Paul?
All right.
Mike?
Aye.
Jamie?
Aye.
And Doris?
Aye.
And Williams is aye as well. All right, I guess it seems to me we could clearly take a motion to accept it as is, or if we feel strongly about it, to accept it as is with a condition that they use the larger square logo on the sign. And I kind of feel like, I could go either way, but I don't know if anybody has any other points they want to make here.
I just was going to say that looking at the motion, I may have read it incorrectly, but is this only going to be for Nans? Because I know Mr. Bartolini said he thought the property owner should be able to decide, but I actually
That's true.
think for a sign this large that is so prominent on Route 9, if it's going to change to a different, at some point in the future, a different retailer, I think we would want to see it, right?
Well, I think, the application is specifically to remove, and I'm not sure exactly how we go about doing that, honestly, from a legal perspective, but to basically remove the condition that's 4 and 5 on the decision from 1999, because that says the sign on lot 2 shall be removed upon the alteration of the signage on the Wendy's site at 359 Turnpike Road. So that doesn't apply anymore because it's not a Wendy's. And 5 says the sign on lot 2 shall be removed if a commercial business other than Wendy's restaurant operates on the Wendy's site at 359 Turnpike Road. So the hearing is really not even about the sign. It's do we approve of removing those conditions from the 1999 decision so that the sign does stay with the business? So I guess the motion we'd have to make would be to approve of the removal of those two conditions from the 1999 decision on the Wendy's sign. Does that sound right, Mike?
Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around that, but I'm reading the decision right now, so I just want to have it make sense. So just bear with me, but continue to.
So just to be clear, if we remove those conditions, could anything go up on that?
That's my concern, right?
That's my concern,
exactly
right?
it.
Is I don't like literally anything could go up there, whatever the property owner wants. And it's a huge 850 foot. Sorry, I don't think the sign's 850 feet.
No, it's not.
12 by whatever it was.
72 square feet.
Yeah. Could we add something like remove the Wendy's part of the motion and add for Nan's Market?
I mean, that's our option is to change the condition to Nan's Market.
I understand it's cumbersome for the property owner to potentially come back each time, but I don't think anyone has a sign in particular, a problem with the sign in particular. We just want to make sure nothing.
Yeah, it's not the sign. It's just that, again, I'll speak for most of Southborough. We don't want live nudes.
Right. That's exactly what I was thinking, Mike. I know we can all say, oh, that would never happen, but we don't really know, right?
There it is.
Can I speak a little bit on this? Can you hear me?
Well, yeah, well, unfortunately, we voted to close the public hearing. I don't know what the.
I just wanted to clarify a little bit on the amendment in the.
It is closed, so.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, to say anything could go up on the sign, I think would not be, I don't think that's really a consideration to me. It's, the sign goes with, the property basically at where Nan's is. That's the deal, I'd say. It doesn't mean you can put whatever you'd like on that sign. I mean, that would apply to any sign in town. You could put any sign, and that's not really what our bylaws read.
So the request, I'm reading the application. So I just want to back this off. So I just want to, if I can, read what the petitioner has asked for. So special use variance is indicated by removing condition 4 and 5. The sign will be available to the current and future occupants, referred to as the locus. So that's what the petitioner's asking for.
So future occupant could be anyone.
Right. And so again, specific relief requested. Amend the special permit, deleting the conditions 4 and 5. Sorry, my computer has just been having issues. So literally just got this up. Since vacated, road signs comply with two conditions 2 and 3. Sorry, if anyone can read this faster, please let me know, but mine is agonizingly slow, so bear with me.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, what they're saying is by removing conditions 4 and 5, the sign will be available to the current and future occupants of the property at 359 Turnpike Road. So we're saying, or I mean, that can be a condition of what of our decision. The sign goes with 359 Turnpike Road.
My understanding is, the applicant wants the variance and use of that sign to go with the property.
Right.
And I fundamentally do not have a problem with that. If something was to crop up there, a future tenant, I mean, that would have to be something that is approved by the planning board. It'd have to be something that is, allowable, within that corridor here on Route 9 in Southborough. So I don't fundamentally have a problem with, with allowing it as requested, unless I'm missing something here. But I mean, if it's some future use that, we're not in favor of, I mean, that's, first of all, it's not currently allowed there, and second of all, it'd have to go through the planning board anyways. So, I'm okay with as requested here.
So I just want to clarify that 850 feet sign, which is at whatever Flag Road,
68 Flag Road.
68 Flag Road, it would have to go with the tenant at the Turnpike address. Like, in other words, could individual just buy that lot and put their thoughts on that sign? Their
If somebody else were to buy,
whatever, anything.
yeah, I mean, it's a fair point. What happens if somebody else buys 68 Flag Road and they don't, but,
Yeah, I'm sort of with Paul, I'm not having as big an issue because if it changes the use of that building from a restaurant and it was on the list, you have to get another special permit if it was a use in those categories, I believe, that Jamie maybe discussed. So I don't have as big issues. I see the problem. I don't have as big an issue because you'd still have to go through planning. And if you're in an allowable use, you still got to be an allowable use for the property in general.
But maybe I'm confused. Are there two separate properties? One that the business is located on and planning improves, and one that the sign is on? That's 850 feet.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's two separate lots.
It is two separate lots.
Yeah, it's two separate lots on Route 9, industrial zoned.
Oh.
And you can't, I just want to say, you can't put live nudes on there because it's not allowed under zoning.
Oh, I know.
Wanted to make sure everybody understood.
We're being very colorful.
Yeah, but so, I mean, again, that's, again, the discussion, unfortunately, the discussion is closed, but, so this is, among the board here now.
Sorry,
And so,
there was no new information. Sorry.
yeah, regardless, we can't accept new information that would not be appropriate once it's closed. But I'll make a motion to accept this as requested.
I have one small differing thought. There could be a condition that it is in David, Mike, Paul, that it's a directional sign, not for safety is really why it's there, not so much promotional. It's meant to, I think, it enhances the location for safety reasons. So maybe that type of condition would place it back in front of the board if there was concerns for other types of misuse, or that it adjoins to that singular other property. You could do some conditions that may put some slow down if you want to put some slow down in this.
I mean, I think that would be completely subjective and very difficult to say or place.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what kind of condition we would want to put on that. I'm not sure I understand what we would say.
I'm not trying to take them in a totally different direction. I'm just maybe addressing.
No, I hear
Jamie.
you.
Yeah. So that it's a direction saying 800. The primary purpose of the sign is to slow the car down and point to the unusual property location that sort of dipped down in Wendy's.
I mean, do you want to say for retail information purposes?
Can we just amend it to instead taking out the two parts that are moving, instead of saying Wendy's, putting Nan's? Would that work? Because that worked for 20-odd years.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm understanding here that the applicant, so we don't have to keep having this conversation. I mean, if it's acceptable for Wendy's, it's acceptable for Nan's. It should be acceptable for any retail use that is currently allowable at the location.
Right.
We're
So
getting
Paul,
there. That's
I, I know you had made a motion to accept the applications. Was there a second?
It was
Nope.
not.
I'll second it.
All right. We do have a motion to approve the request for special permit as written to, and a second, because it is, yes, it is a special permit. So we'll take a vote in favor, respond with aye. Paul,
All right.
Doris,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Jamie.
I'm gonna say nay. I don't, it still passes, right? I'm
You
just
need four. You need
I
four.
need four. I'm gonna make a motion to amend the proposed variance. Some sort of
Just as a
simple,
point of order,
yeah.
we have a vote on, so.
Oh, okay, then I'll say nay,
Okay,
but I'm open to a new motion.
okay, fair.
I'm saying aye.
Oh, right, sorry.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Oh,
That
right,
is
so
okay.
you are for, okay.
So that is four, yes. So that, we'll have to agree, I think, the wording on that, Mike, or Katie, just to be clear that we're removing those specific conditions. I think we can do that separately, but that means that application is, oh, actually, I'm sorry, it's a variance application to amend a special permit, right, is the way it's written. But that it is approved. All right. Thank you, Mr. Bartolini, Mr. McKay.
All right, thank you. All right, I think we're all set here.
I
So
think
we
we're all
voted
set. Thank you.
all right, I'm not gonna talk anymore.
You can talk now, Jack. It's okay.
It's all right.
I don't know if I'm shooting myself in the foot. I think what you did is you voted to approve, to amend a variance and a special permit. I believe that's what just happened and occurred.
Yes, that's true. I'm reading it as it's a variance application, and the way it's written, it's to revise the conditions of the special permit granted in 1999.
Yeah, is that in the Scribner's error in which I should come out? The
Right,
address.
yes. Yeah, we'll make sure we capture that it's 68 Flag Road and not
Right.
whatever it reads now. Yes, thank you for that.
Last time it said 357, which had nothing to do with anything, and I missed it. So, all right, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
Okay. So, we're ready for another one. Katie, we have 250 Turnpike Road now.
Yep, I can read the public hearing notice in.
Yes, please do.
Okay. The Board of Appeals of the Town of Southborough will hold a public hearing via a virtual Zoom meeting Wednesday, August 17th, 2022 at 7:15 PM with regard to the petition of Ferris Development, 250 Turnpike Road, Southborough, Mass. The petitioner is seeking to convert the existing site from office space to self-storage in the industrial and residence A districts. Relief is requested under section 174.8-7C9. Do we have, yep, okay, we have some people to pull over.
Okay.
Brian, are you expecting somebody named James
Yes,
to be
Good
here?
evening.
Okay. I'll
James
come
is our
in.
project engineer.
I think that's everyone.
Right. If it's all right, Mr. Chairman and members, good evening. I'm Brian Charvel. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Ferris Development Group, and I'm also a Massachusetts attorney, and so I get to serve Ferris Development as its general counsel as well. I'm here tonight representing FD 250 Turnpike LLC. It's one of our affiliates, and it owns the real property and improvements at 250 Turnpike Road in Southborough. Speaking of Southborough, our company, Ferris Development, is based in Southborough at 118 Turnpike Road, Suite 300. There we have about 30 employees. And as you may know, our owner, Dave Ferris, grew up in Southborough, and he still lives on Sears Road. I'm joined, as I began to say tonight, by James Tatro, who is a Massachusetts civil engineer. Hi, James. And he's the principal with Azimuth Land Design, which is another Southborough-based business. As you heard from the legal ad, we're here tonight on a pretty straightforward request, we think, which is a special permit for use to allow self-storage at this property. We'll be before the planning board this coming Monday night on our request for a major site plan approval. That's triggered because the new work there exceeds 2,000 square feet on the inside of the building. And we're also right now pending before the Conservation Commission on an ANRAD, or an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation. The next hearing on that, I think, is next Thursday evening. So again, this is a special permit for the self-storage use. That's allowed by special permit under our zoning bylaw. This property at 250 Turnpike is almost entirely in the industrial zone. There's a portion of the property at the southern edge that is zoned Residence A, but all the self-storage activity that we're proposing, that use will be within the industrial portion of the property. Most importantly, we want to bring to your attention, the attention of your audience, that we're not proposing any changes to the building envelope at 250 Turnpike, which right now is configured as a 3-story office building. And we're not proposing any changes to the parking or the driveways or anything around the building. So from the outside, it'll continue to look the same. With this changed use, it'll just mean interior changes. We propose to gut the office configuration on the inside and build out the interior with self-storage units. As you saw from our application, it's our position the proposed use is not in conflict with public health or safety or convenience and welfare, and is not detrimental or offensive to the neighborhood, or it's destructive of property values around there. As you know, as we all know from passing by on Route 9 at Turnpike Road, this use is pretty much in harmony with other uses that are around there. It's immediately next to Eagle and across the street from Rad Exotics. This building has been vacant since 2016. And so when our company heard it was on the market last autumn, we expressed interest through that building's brokers, and we're happy to have come up with a use that we think folks will use and that really activates a property that's been dormant now for several years and really gets it back on the tax rolls. As you saw from the application, there have been 2 prior special permits granted for this property. One was for a prior tenant there that needed a special permit for light assembly and manufacturing, and that was granted, I think, around 1990. And there was another special permit granted to allow additional signage, and that's the prior history. That's really about it. We would ask that you vote to grant the special permit for the use, and I'm happy to answer any questions you all may have. And of course, Mr. Tatro is right here as well, and he brings his engineering background to the table. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, why don't we start with Jamie? Jamie, do you have any questions regarding the special permit application of the use at 250 Turnpike?
I don't. I think you answered it. I was just worried if there was going to be a lot of excess lighting with the change, but it sounds like all the changes are inside the building and not outside. Is that correct?
That's right. We do propose some facade lighting, which is part of the site plan review with the planning board on Monday. It would just be, wall signage and lighting to enable passersby to see that.
Okay,
Okay.
that was my question.
Thank you.
Mike?
What about signage? Is there going to be any applications for signage on Route 9? Again, I see a lot of self-storage and some of the signage.
We're looking at the feasibility of the sign that is presently there, that monument. It was last used, I think, by the last tenant, Kaz Engineering. I think we will be asking for that to be made larger, but still working at, we don't have a name yet, so that's part of.
And is that part of site plan review with the planning board?
I believe that's part of it, yes.
Anything else, Mike?
No, I'm just reading through the application. Again, my every page is just. So I'm just going through the petitioner's application one more time. I've looked at it previously. But I want to have it in front of me as I go through this.
Do you want us to come back to you, Mike?
Yeah, if you could. I'm just going through this. I just want to make sure that if there's any mixed use with respect to the proposed use. It's being listed as self-storage, but is there going to be any remaining office space?
We expect really two types of remaining office. One will be, there will be a management office that will be staffed, and we expect to self-manage it. And so that'll be one of our employees that will be managing it day in and day out. We also hope to have some conference rooms that the self-storage users can use themselves as a place to meet. We hope that the use can really serve local businesses, especially contractors. And so we hope that they make connections and maybe, you know, they confer on a pending job together using the shared like a conference room that we've built out. But the rest of the interior will be typical self-storage units of different sizes.
The existing septic system is still going to be suitable. If
That's
any,
right.
probably going to have less there.
That's right. It falls, you know, like dropping a zero off the daily flow.
Sure.
So much to self-storage. Yep.
Okay.
But yeah, all the existing septic will be used and no changes to existing utilities serving the property.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Doris.
Okay. Possibly directed. It's a question regarding the plan. Do you have an idea in perspective of the total square footage? How many units, or just in general, are we having? I've seen these unit buildings have very, very small units.
Mhm.
It's going to be 100, 10 by 10s. And that's just in relation is the parking that exists adequate for the number of storage units. I suspect it might be, but if you could just kind of address that plan. Is how many units are going in the building in relation to any potential parking issues.
Happy to. We're working with a self-storage consultant that's helping us with the layout and the unit count and the unit size. I think the application mentions 401 units, but the latest feedback from the consultant was actually to combine some of the smaller ones to make slightly larger. But we still would have units that range, I think, from as small as 5 by 5 with a roll-up door to some as large as 10 by 25, 15 by 20.
Up to maybe the 400 units. I don't know the answer how that impacts parking, or how many spaces. Is there enough? And it sounds like it would never be a problem, but mostly addressing it, I'm getting a better idea in relation to parking spaces that exist. In relation to that use. That's when somebody else can chime in here.
Mr. Tater, I think will tell us the exact count, but there are a couple dozen spaces immediately next to the building around the west side, which is where we envision most folks parking, loading, and departing. And there's also a bit of a roundabout door where they can park, load, and depart. But then on top of the septic field in the eastern portion of the property is the lot with a couple hundred space. And so that's what's accessible via a pedestrian bridge that crosses some wet area. And so between the two parking areas, there's plenty, but we think really even just the spaces immediately adjacent to the building will be sufficient for the typical self-storage traffic day in and day out. And another thing is, there are traffic engineering rules of thumb about how many trips to expect in a day based on the self-storage use of square footage. And so with a square footage of, I think we had 53,000 square feet of self-storage, the traffic count's expected to be at 80 trips a day, which is materially less than office of the same size.
That's what I was going to ask. If there's some guideline or rules of thumb, I would expect something would exist.
Yeah.
Okay.
James, would you maybe point to the contrast between the two uses?
Sure. Can you hear me, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
The IT table of traffic generation for these different uses, both uses, office and self-storage, are described, I should say, in trips per day per 1,000 square feet of office space. And the office space, even the lightest office space, would have 9 and change trips per day per 1,000 square feet of office area, and the storage is 1.51. So it is about 6 times greater traffic generation if this is used as office. It really comes out to just over 500 trips per day, as opposed to about 80 trips per day.
Okay. Did that answer your question, Doris?
It answers the exact question I'm looking for, is just diligence that I would think it'd be demonstrably lower, and it is lower. The noise generation would be a secondary question. Any comments regarding, you said in one corner of the property, you said you didn't plan any real noise change, but the uses change. Office would be negligible, none. Do you have any thoughts regarding what kinds of heavy trucks would be coming in and out of there in the 80 trips per day on average?
We would expect very little. I mean, there will of course be some upcoming noise related to construction, delivery of the prefabricated units, and steel reinforcement for the floors. But aside from that, we think it would be pretty typical, and markedly less just by fewer trips.
What would the planned hours be for the self-storage units?
We're still looking at that, but I think some are accessible 24 hours a day. But we would have it, that's not our goal to have it be accessible overnight. It will be largely card access. So there will be the staff member during normal business hours that will, facilitate renters access to the units. But aside from that, it'll be really card access is what we envision.
Okay.
If I could just dive in a little bit deeper on, it's the type of vehicle that's coming in. Those could be 18 wheelers to bringing in storage, whatever, because the unit's 400 square feet. It's going to be are those, delivery truck size? Any thought for someone who knows that business well?
Well, I guess I should most importantly say we're not asking for it to be a warehouse. And that, that's the kind of use that would bring, storage and traffic like that. That's, trucking really. This is going to be not of that scale. And it really, it's going to be on multiple floors. And so, just a building of this size with 3 or 3.5 levels, if you include the basement, just doesn't lend itself, we're going to have standard elevators, for instance. And so you can't really bring steel beams up to store them or crane them in through the roof or that sort of thing. It's all going to be sort of hand carried really to get it there.
Yeah, the storage units seem small enough that that doesn't really lend itself to something that's really big, I would think.
Yeah.
It's just, the questions are, just surrounding noise that
Right.
near that residential community.
Mhm.
That, just some sense of what that noise could be or the size of those trucks could be.
If I could just quickly in regard to the, Mr. Charville mentioned that there's a corner of the lot that is with the building at 250 Turnpike that extends into the residential zone. And actually, unfortunately, now we find from the ANRAD process just captures some wetland area. The nearest abutter clearly is actually the Eagle Leasing facility immediately to the west. And you actually have to go several hundred feet through the woods to get to the nearest actual house. I don't know if that's up off Schuyler or which street that is, but it's actually fairly well separated from the residential folks to the south of this.
Thank you.
Paul, did you have questions?
I don't have any questions. Just a few comments that, I mean, I have some working knowledge with self-storage and, in various development situations. And I agree with the statements being made that it is, a much lesser impact on water, sewer or septic. Lot less traffic than what its past use was, especially during peak times. And it's a tricky little spot there, the ingress and egress. So this type of use would actually kind of, keep things alleviate or soften there. I mean, it's currently an office building, and this use is just for 3 or 4 different reasons, a lot less impact on things. So, I think it's a good idea.
Mike, did you have anything else? Did you read through? Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, thank you. I wanted to read through the application again one more time, and Doris really hit upon one of my really questions, which was about noise, just because I'm thoughtful with respect to, obviously we have Ken's Foods a little bit further down, so we've got those trucking issues. I'm familiar with self-storage as well, so I kind of echo some of Paul's thoughts about, this was office, it's now not, it's likely going to have less use and impact. So I'm curious as to see if there's neighbors that have comments or concerns, but Doris really kind of my big pressure points as well.
Yeah, I mean, just taking a look at where it is, I mean, I think they've assessed it correctly. It's pretty far from closest resident, which would be a Schuyler. I actually took a quick look there today. I mean, you kind of got the building close to the road. The parking lot does kind of go around to the back there. I thought there was a mention in the application too about actually putting up some kind of a fence, a privacy fence.
Mm-hmm.
Was that part of the plan?
That's right. That's part of site plan, and we're interested in taller. So we'll be asking the planning board to allow potentially taller 10 feet, mainly for privacy and screening.
Okay.
With slats.
All right.
Let's see.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, my take on it is it's in an industrial use area. Going from office to storage should be less impact traffic wise every other way as well. I wouldn't think it would lend itself to some heavy trucking. That just doesn't seem. It seems like most. I think they're right that most of the noise is going to be what's happening right now, which is when they're actually doing construction. So I don't have any other really questions for it. To me, it seems reasonable. I am interested though in what Mike said. Are there any abutters that are in the meeting that want to be heard, Katie?
Rhonda has her hand up. I could allow. Whoop, hold on.
Rhonda coming in as Sam Stivers.
Yeah, I don't know what just happened. She might have left and then Sam took her place. Sorry, Sam.
Did Sam have something he wanted to say?
I didn't see his hand up. If you do, Sam, feel free to
Okay.
raise your hands. But yeah, whoever that was is now gone.
Okay. Maybe the concern was addressed by Doris or Mike, who knows? Okay. Is there any other public discussion we want to have on the application? I do feel like sometimes we close it and then we have a question for the applicant. I want to avoid that if at all possible. To me, it seems relatively straightforward, but if we have any questions now, let's make sure we ask them.
I have no questions, so if there's no questions, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion to close, second by Jamie. All in favor, respond with aye. Jamie,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Doris,
Aye.
Paul,
All right,
Williams, aye. Okay, the public part of the hearing is now closed. I don't know if there's no further discussion that we need to make as a board, then we can entertain a motion to approve the special permit as written for self-storage.
again, I have no further discussion, so I'll make a motion to approve the use as applied for.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion to approve with a second. All in favor, respond with aye. Paul,
All right,
Doris,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Williams, aye. All right, that will approve the application for a special permit, 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
You're all set.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Good evening.
James?
Okay, so the only thing we have left to keep Doris awake is the minutes
I'm
from the
dying.
last meeting, and there's not much to talk about when it comes to the minutes from the last meeting. In my view, because the minutes we have before us were our approval to release executive session minutes, and by its nature, we had almost no discussion. So does anybody have any concerns with the minutes from the meeting on Wednesday, July 28th?
I have no concerns.
All right,
I make a
No
motion
question.
to approve the minutes as drafted.
I'll second that motion.
all right. Motion to approve the minutes as drafted with a second. All in favor, respond with aye. Paul,
All right,
Doris,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
aye. Jamie,
Aye.
aye, and Williams, aye. Very good. Thank you for that. The only other business before the board, we're scheduled to have a meeting on September 14th with town council, right, to talk about the 40B process. But am I correct in saying we'll have a new assistant for that, Katie?
Yes. Yep. It will be her second day.
Oh, gosh. Wow. Jumping right in.
Yes. So I will be there too, just because I think we're going to be assisting a little bit through that
Okay.
process. But yes, you will meet Lara. She's very nice and wonderful.
Great. All right. Yeah. For everyone's clarification, it's just an offer. I think the town wants to, be prepared for this 40B. It's in the same place where obviously there was an awful lot of heat the last time. So town council has offered to provide some inputs, some assistance. So I'm more than willing to take it. So that's the spirit of the meeting is to discuss the process and to try to use all the resources we can. It might. So, okay, that was it. So our next meeting is scheduled for September 14th,
Yep,
correct?
and there is a hearing on the 21st as well. So there is a proposal for 241 to 245 Turnpike Road, which is the old Andrea.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Whoa.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yep, so they're looking to
Yay.
demolish the buildings and put in a single building that looks to be like a car club. You can store your cars and do some light, not manufacturing, mechanical stuff that one would do
Yeah.
at their own
Okay.
house. That's what it looks like the proposal is. So,
Interesting.
so
Not a
yeah,
burned out building? Great.
so save the date for the 14th and the 21st. David, I'll be sending over a public hearing notice for you to look over, and I'll get that ball rolling as well.
Okay, thank you, Katie. All right, yes, we're rehabbing one particular part of Route 9, apparently.
Yeah.
Sounds
we're
interesting.
We're taking them on Route 9 left and right.
Yeah, love it. Right, that's all we had on the agenda for this evening. Thanks, everybody.
Is it time for my shining moment?
It's your
It is.
turn. It's your time, Paul.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Doris, you have to second.
I have to second. I'll second it.
All right, motion to adjourn with a second. All in favor, respond with aye. Paul?
Oh, aye.
Doris?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Jamie?
Aye.
And Williams, aye. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Aye.
Thank you for
Good
staying
morning,
up so late,
Doris.
Doris.
Good night, all.
Good morning, Doris.
Yeah, good morning, Doris.
Good night.
Thank you for being here.
4:15 a.m. Let me go. Take care.
Right